Hey, it's Tom Cassidy here, going to talk to you today about algorithm number one in the Reasonable Eating program, which is by far and away the best diet I know of for weight loss long term because it's so easy. It's relatively straightforward to stick to one thing at a time. And the first thing we focus on for the first week is chewing until liquid. What exactly does that mean? Well, there's a lot of science behind why we should chew. There's all sorts of great stuff in saliva, enzymes that digest fats and digest carbohydrates, not so much protein, but also the mechanical action of chewing the food, getting it to small particles is really good for the rate of reaction, increasing the rate of reaction and therefore getting the quality nutrients out of the food. The actual course will go into this in a lot more detail. All I'm going to do is say, okay, in this week, in this weekly algorithm focus, let's just ask ourselves a few questions. So the operational algorithms for chewing your food until it's liquid. Questions we bring to mind whenever we eat, basically. Am I chewing this completely? Is it turning to liquid in my mouth? Am I swallowing chunks? Am I actually just like going and swallowing, or is this food literally disappearing as I chew it? Now, obviously, there's some things that you're not going to really turn into liquid. It'll sort of just kind of you'll swallow automatically without even really trying, but that's okay. The main thing we don't want to worry about too much is proteins. In general, proteins aren't the sort of thing which will dissolve and actually be digested in the mouth, and the reason for that is, of course, if you were a scavenger or a predator eating something else, you'd need to take a big chunk of meat and then swallow it straight away, and then take another big chunk as much as possible, and then go and fall asleep under a tree for a few hours or days even. And so it wouldn't really make sense to digest the food as you went along. Of course, cows and animals that live on grass, antelope and gazelles and things like that, of course, they could eat for as long as they liked, and they could literally eat all day. And there's the panda, which is taking things to the ridiculous extreme. It basically has to eat because it's so big and there's so little nutrition in just the bamboo shoots that it'll eat, that it basically has to eat nearly all the time it's awake. So I'm not suggesting we do that, but in general, chewing your food is really, really good, and there's a lot more detail. But if there was one thing you could do, if there was one thing that you could absolutely do that would totally revolutionize the way you looked at food, it would be chew until liquid. That's why it's the first algorithm. It's no more important than any of the other algorithms, but it is the first one because I do think that if this is the one that you get right, then it makes everything else really, really easy. So that's it. Algorithm number one, chew until liquid.